when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other.
Here we go. Best Soccer Show, Backheel.com. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois, live Sunday night. Sunday. It's Game of Thrones night.
And sure, don't talk about it like you care.
No, I do care. I missed last week. We talked about my problem. We talked about my issue. We discussed this, and it's not that I wasn't intending to find an end run around my problem. It's that I just didn't find the time to sit down, because instead of just flipping on my TV or going to my DVR, which I don't actually even have right now, or even pulling up, HBO Go, which I didn't sign up for, I have to, it is a process. I have to go through a whole thing about it and make time for it, and that's where I'm at right now. But I intend to catch up. I do. And by the way, boobs or death? What won?
Boobs last week. Last week, boobs. I mean, honestly, boobs always win. Death always wins in the long run, but on a week-to-week basis in life, boobs win.
Absolutely. Usually. There's some segments.
Well, you think about it. I mean, you have to write death into a plot. Boobs, you could just say background woman without. Oh, by the way, we need to start saying boobs, death, or butt. There's a lot of man butt in the first episode of the season.
Okay, well, do I really want to go back and watch it now?
Sure. I mean, listen, they're good butts. They're ugly butts.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether or not your subjective opinion of man butt is something I should trust or not, Jared. Is that really, do I want to go down that road?
I would say I'm a connoisseur.
By the way, we are live. It is excellent to be back live. The phone lines are therefore open. 347-756-6276, our old number. Well, not our old number, our regular number. Let's say it that way. If you want to jump in on anything we talk about tonight, feel free to do so. We'll even allow you to steer us in a completely different direction if you want. Now, Jared, I know
if you want to talk about the fact that the best probably show on network TV right now is Last Man on Earth, then that's cool too.
Really? Okay.
Are you watching that show?
No, I'm not.
That's a good one.
Well, here's the thing, though. I was kind of turned off. I dug the premise. I completely dug the premise. I realized that you can't really write a show about one guy. Like, you have to
They wrote an entire episode, and it was absolutely fascinating on just one guy.
Okay, but you can't do that for a whole season. He can't carry that whole
I would have liked to have seen them try, to be honest with you. But
I hear, like, the show's called The Last Man on Earth, and I hear there's, like, 6 people on that show now. So explain to me how they are faithful to the premise.
I think you were, it's just like saying, oh, it's called Mad Men. Why are there women? Okay, listen, it's a premise for the show, but all right. I'll say this. It's amazing that Will Forte convinced a network to give him network level money to do what he's doing, and he's great at it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. I need to get on. I need to catch up on Game of Thrones. I'll have to check out Last Man on Earth. I finally managed.
Don't accidentally Google Last Man Standing. You don't want that.
Okay. All right. I finally managed to catch up with Brooklyn Nine-Nine not too long ago. Maybe a week or two behind. I have to, Silicon Valley. I know we're one episode into that season too, right? Yep. So I have to catch up on Silicon Valley. There's a lot to catch up on. How do you do this? Didn't you just travel for work? Like, didn't you just go to Chicago?
Yeah, I went to Chicago, man. I walked down the Miracle Mile for the first time. Never been to Chicago. Beautiful architecture down there. People do not understand how to drive, but red light. I must have seen 3 people almost get hit by cars because everyone walks with earbuds in, and no one respects a red light in Chicago.
Well, you do know that the farther east you go, the worse the driving gets, right? You understand that?
It's just weird. I'm from Los Angeles, I'm LA. It's like we understand driving. We hate it, but we understand it.
Well, you guys move it
unless it snows or rains, and then we suck.
Well, okay, absolutely, and that's true here. That's true here in DC, by the way. Snow or rain, people can't drive to save their lives, but they can't drive normally anyway. Baltimore drivers are bad. Philly drivers are bad. New York drivers are bad. Boston, they're all terrible. They're all terrible, terrible drivers. All right, let's get to some soccer business here. We've got a big MLS weekend to cover. At some point, we'll do that. I think we have, before we get into the U.S. men's national team, which is going to be our lead story here, Jared. True or false, there are no games I have to avoid this week. Everybody,
what do you mean you have to avoid?
Everybody produced at least one goal. Every game produced at least one goal.
Oh, right? This one finally at the end right here. This one barely eked it out for you. The last one here, Portland versus NYCFC. You almost had one you couldn't talk about.
Oh, yeah. So we got at least one goal. They did Portland beating New York City. Well, is it over yet? Have they blown the whistle? I think they've blown the whistle.
Yeah, that's over now. Final 1-0. People are shaking hands out there.
We'll get to all of that MLS stuff. And again, feel free to call in 347-756-6276 with whatever you want to talk about MLS-wise when we get there. But we should probably start with the U.S. men's national team. They played Mexico in San Antonio on Wednesday, Jared. 2-0. They win 2-0. You get goals from the kid Jordan Morris and Juan Agudelo. And the game was all kinds of wacky because of that surface. And obviously Mexico was bringing a C team, if you want to be generous about it. I mean, this was clearly an off friendly. This wasn't anywhere close to full on USA Mexico rivalry stuff.
Other than the trend continues of 2-0.
Right. Well, there's that. And I actually was looking at something. I think since 2000, the United States is 13-5-5 against Mexico. So I
didn't get to listen to your breakdown soccer morning. So let me guess how this went down for Jason Davis. You started the conversation saying we can learn nothing from this because of the pitch, and then asked, what did we learn?
No, I didn't ask what we learned. I didn't. I said, okay, in terms of the team performance, and I'm going to back this up, and I believe this. In terms of the team performance, there's not much to take away from that game.
Yeah.
Because not just because of the surface, which was a major factor, but because of the makeup of the team and the makeup of Mexico's team. I just don't know what you learned from that game on the whole. Like,
you're judging individuals. You're judging individuals and how they combine with others. It really isn't a game to talk about big picture styles of play for either national team. It's not anything about that. It's about judging individual talent on the field against other individual talent and how they stacked up. That being said, maybe the most impressive part of the field for the U.S. for me was the center back pairing. I liked what Omar Gonzalez and Alvarado Ventura did in that game.
You ready for me to take some of the
Ventura Alvarado? Why did I say I switched that around? Sorry about that. I put his first name last and his last name first.
Alvarado Ventura. I actually kind of like that. That's very nice.
That sounds like a soap star.
Do you want me to rain on your parade just a little bit with those two? And you're right, they were good.
You're going to tell me that they weren't playing anything worthwhile? What?
I'm going to tell you that Mexico, who traditionally likes to keep the ball on the ground, strings together some passes, knows how to work it through the middle, create some space, and obviously create situations where center backs have to switch off quickly and cover posts.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of that. They didn't get to do any of that, not only because of their team, and that's not a team that's been playing together a lot, but because that surface simply did not allow it. So what you had instead was a Mexico limited to a whole lot of playing the ball wide and trying to sweep in some crosses. And let me tell you, you're not going to win much when you sweep in crosses against guys the size of Omar Gonzalez and Ventura Alvarado.
Okay, but at the same time, though, in Eric Torres and Eduardo Herrera, that was probably the strongest area of the field for Mexico. Those are two talented strikers up top for Mexico, and they didn't necessarily threaten any large regard over the course of the night, other than the fact that golf clap to Eric Torres for the spin nutmeg on Omar Gonzalez. That was one of the nastiest moves I've seen in a while.
Well, I think, it certainly was nasty, and it showed up Omar Gonzalez. I actually think Obafemi Martins taking that ball down in that turn against Colorado this weekend was on that level, if not better. But look, again, the United States wins the game. It's a feel-good thing, and I even thought that the crowd sort of reflected the feeling of the match. There were a lot of people there who said, everybody expects it to be Mexico heavy when you play anywhere in the U.S. when Mexico's involved, and you're not limiting tickets like you do in Columbus for a World Cup qualifier. So there's that to consider. And they all said that there were more U.S. fans than they expected, or there were more people wearing U.S. colors than they expected. I have kind of a couple theories on this. I mean, I'm not a sociologist, but it seems to me like we're approaching a sort of generational shift where a lot of Mexican Americans are fans of both teams. And why do they need to choose? And as long as they're not playing each other, who cares if I'm a Mexico fan or a USA fan? I don't know who they showed up for.
I think the analogy used during the game, not analogy, but the kind of the story used during the game about Alvarado, that mom and dad wanted to play for Mexico. 5-6 brothers all wanted him to play for the U.S. And that's the generational gap. And I see it in California here all the time, in that I have guys that I work with or that I play with that have that generational gap where the parents every game are rooting for Mexico and the kids are working for the national team. Or it's actually it's almost like the commercial that came out a year or two ago where the kid goes out to the garage to watch the game.
Yeah.
In secret, that's not necessarily untrue anymore.
No, I think that, again, those kids who may be rooting for the U.S., who may be leaning towards the U.S., they were born here, they grew up here, that's their first team, but they're also not going to they're not going to piss on Mexico when they get a chance to root for Mexico against anybody but the U.S. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is one of those situations where if you're born in Connecticut and you got a Yankee parent and a Red Sox parent, yeah, you better pick a team or somebody's going to have a problem. But when they're not playing each other, you can root for both. I mean, it sounds like sacrilege, but it's happening. And I think that was part of the crowd there, which I found probably even more interesting than the game because, again, the game didn't give me anything real.
I'm wondering if it's going to be odd for my kid when 10 years from now, when I'm sitting down watching one of these games with him and I tell him about a time where the U.S. was playing away in every game that they played against Mexico ever. You know, he may not understand the need for why we needed Columbus Crew, like why that was the Columbus Crew Stadium, why that was even necessary to have that. And I went back this week and I started watching, you know, I get nostalgia every time the U.S. Mexico games. I start watching the all the old game film, you know, the 2001, the original. And by the way, going back and watching that, God, it just every once in a while it bears repeating how good Clint Mathis's little one time, oh, actually, it's like it's two-touch. He almost takes it down the air and in the same motion plays that beautiful ball over the top to Josh Wolf. Listen, it's 15 years ago, but I still, every time I watch it, someone needs to go back and make sure everyone else that hasn't seen that game still understands what happened there.
Okay, old man, we get it.
I am the keeper of the archives.
I get it. Look, I think that's another interesting thing, too, is sort of the disconnect between generations in terms of what we lived through, what we remember, what they didn't, et cetera, et cetera. All this stuff is going to come to a head at some point. And I've even been asked, like, hey, can you on Soccer Morning, can you take time to flesh out the career of some of these great players that I didn't get to see? He mentioned, Alexi Lalas. He mentioned John Harkes. He mentioned, we're talking about guys, Claudio Reyna even. I mean, Claudio Reyna retired.
Well, we are fans of a sport that doesn't have an ESPN Classic that goes back and does this stuff. You know, like ESPN Classic, I mean, our kids can go watch games of Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas and probably even going back to the days of Bill Russell. You can go watch those games and see what those guys were like. You know, no one's doing that necessarily for soccer. Every once in a while around World Cup time, though, we'll go show classic matches of World Cups past. But there is something to be said that one day, I mean, it may be more prevalent. I hope it is. And in the age of streaming media, one day, all these games may be online for anyone who ever wants to watch them at their leisure.
I actually think that's important. Some of these games are in their entirety. Like, I think the entire 2002 World Cup is on YouTube somewhere. Like, you can watch the entire Portugal game, the entire USA-Portugal game in its entirety. Now, there's a difference between sitting down and watching a of from 15 years ago and spending the 2 hours to do it and maybe and look, I don't know if it rises to this level, and I'm not a documentary guy, and I'm still going to bang the drum for the Freddie Adu doc, but hey, you know what, throw something 30 minutes together in 30 minutes on Dos a Cero and the birth of Dos a Cero. I mean, somebody needs to do this stuff, right?
There was a lot of uproar last time around the World Cup about how many of the ESPN 30s were not about the U.S.
I didn't care about them, and I get that it's a rich soccer landscape, and you could go down to Colombia and find a story, and you can go to Argentina and find a story, you can go to England and find 1,000 stories.
Isn't that most of the more important things that Americans are watching stories about the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all sort of this is another interesting thing about being a soccer fan in the United States, and even if you don't go back to 2000 or before, I mean, the old timers go back way before that. You have to learn at your own pace. You have to find your level, right? Like, you have to find, it's just like learning American history. Like, obviously you didn't live through the Cuban Missile Crisis, but you go back and read about it. You find out what it was all about. You read the different takes on why it went wrong and blah, blah, blah. And it's the same thing for soccer, same thing for any sport. You need to find what's important to you.
Well, just like this week, all sorts of people probably Googled for the first time Dante Washington to find out who that was and why Jordan Morris is important.
Dante Washington follows me on Twitter, by the way. That's good, right?
Me too. Why are you trying to big up me?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't know your Twitter follower.
So why are you just throwing random stuff out? Why are you name dropping for name drop's sake?
Because I don't know, because it was fun. All right, 347-756-6276. You guys are out of practice, and I get it. I understand. We haven't been on the air live in quite some time. That should be sorted now. The fancy new studio I'm sitting in right now, if you're watching live or you watch the YouTube version later,
this is a sneak peek. This is a sneak peek. This is the first time anyone's seen this, right?
I was pretty excited that I got to pop the studio cherry for best soccer show rather than for Soccer Morning. It just feels right because this was the show. Like we started doing this. I don't even know. Is it bad that I literally don't know how old this show is? Like I had to really think.
I would really have to think about it as well. It's got to be close to 4 years right now. No, October would have been 4 years, right?
No. I think we started in 2000.
We didn't do a World Cup our first year.
Oh, that's right. We didn't. It was 2011. You're right. It is 4 years. I think you're right. Yeah. I think 4 years is about right because we did take we took the U.S. the entire way. October 2011. Okay, we took the U.S. the entire way from post 2010 World Cup, coming out of the slumber period, going into qualifying. 5:03, you're on the air.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Patrick in Portland. How you doing?
What's going on, Patrick?
Hey, just wanted to give a quick shout out to my boys. Got big 3 points on the road there in New York just now, but unfortunately we weren't good enough to make it on FS1. We had to get backseated to
by the way,
around the track.
I heard. See, here's the thing, and this is part of the reason why the new TV deal is a good thing. I heard. Who's the ESPN? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Who's the play-by-play announcer for ESPN?
Adrian Healy.
I heard Adrian Healy say that game was going to be on FS2, not FS1. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. So ESPN, as part of the deal that they have with MLS and the partnership with everybody pushing the league, gave a tip that go to FS2. Why did that happen? I don't even know why that happened.
I think the NASCAR race went long.
NASCAR race or something, and they just brought it back and that FS1.
That does make sense. Actually, that's what I heard.
Yeah, but America, we gotta get over this thing where we get all butthurt because, oh my God, the Fox is not taking soccer seriously, bumping it to another channel. When a game goes to overtime or something like that in soccer, we bump sports too. It's just a matter, you're always gonna stay whatever was already on.
No, I don't care. I'm not gonna get up in arms about that. I don't think anybody should. I think we are a spoiled bunch. We are incredibly spoiled in this country when it comes to the soccer on our televisions. And, let's just be thankful. We could, there could be more people. Did you see that CBS LA tweet, Jared?
Oh, yeah. Someone got fired, but someone definitely getting a talking to this weekend.
Patrick, what else is on your mind?
Hey, man, I just wanted to call about talking about the U.S. game. And I really, really strongly think that Omar has got to be one of our better center backs. I mean, he's just killing it out there. I thought he was really good on Wednesday. I thought he was really good yesterday for the Galaxy. I just think he's one of our best center backs, and I really hope that he's going to get the nod for the Gold Cup.
Jared, what was the knock? What has been the knock on Omar Gonzalez? Like, why have we fully accepted
Two things for me. One thing I think is a general one, which is, and this is kind of positional. I think not everyone sees this the same way. One is that he's prone to that big error every game. And I don't think over the last 6 to 8 months that has necessarily been true the way it was maybe a year ago. So I think maybe that's part of his game that I don't have anything recently to point to say that that's still an issue. The other part, and I think this is one that's still definitely a work in progress, but he's improved in, is his ball control. Ball control, heads up the field, making that pass, not just having to lump it downfield, having composure on the ball to find the right pass out of the back. And that is essential for Jurgen Klinsmann.
Do you think that that's part of his natural development as a player? Do you think you give credit for that to Bruce Arena, who obviously coaches him the majority of the time? Or, hey, this is something Klinsmann's been talking about and wants to play out of the back. Maybe Gonzalez got better because Klinsmann pushed him.
Yeah, I think that's a dual thing there. I think Bruce Arena wants to play out of the back as well. I think over the last couple of weeks, I think that Galaxy's been bypassing midfield more than I would like because they have Alan Gordon up top and they've been really using him as a battering ram up front. But I think Omar Gonzalez is naturally kind of building that side of his game. The problem is, what is he right now? 25, 26? He's just getting that under his belt. That's the bigger problem for the U.S. Yeah. Where's that guy that's ready now at 20 to 22 that has that skill? That's one of the skills hopefully guys get early. The positioning part of the game, I understand you may get that a little bit more down the road because, I mean, the more game time you get, that's just like a keeper. Why does the keeper get so well as he gets older? He understands the positioning that much better.
What did you think? What did you make of Ventura Alvarado's ball handling in that game?
I thought it was really comfortable. Really comfortable. I think he is a great little mix of what none of our center backs, few of our center backs do well. He's big. He can win balls in the air. He's still fast. I mean, I saw him a few times turn on the ball and actually turn the heels on and actually keep up with some of these strikers. And he looks positionally aware. Now, granted, I haven't seen it in a large over a large scale of time, but he definitely has a few of the attributes that a few of our guys only have one of. And I think that's very interesting with him.
How have we gotten this far? We're not quite halfway through the show. We got a late start, but how have we gotten this far? And when we started with the U.S. national team and not like just started the hype machine for Jordan Morris yet, Jared?
Because it's not that big of a deal. Honestly, I can't believe people are still talking about it as big as they are because people need a headline. People need a narrative. But Juan Agudelo goal's better. To be honest with you, and Jordan Morris, I mean, we got a lucky break on a caromed pass from Giassi Zardes, fell to Jordan Morris. It doesn't change the fact that yes, it's important and it's cool that a kid from Stanford is scoring a goal for the national team against Mexico, but it's just not that big in the grand scheme of things. It's cool. I'm happy for him.
And look, I don't want to hype Jordan Morris. I think that's the wrong thing to do. Patrick, I got.
Guess what? Can you watch him play anytime soon?
Can you watch him anytime soon?
Yeah.
Is he on the Pac-12 network?
No, because it's out of season. You can't watch Jordan Morris this weekend, so that's why I don't really care about it.
He's going to go play with the U23s up in Seattle for the summer, I've heard. So maybe you catch a stream of that on YouTubes or something.
I'm saying that's why I question what the big picture is with the U.S. national team and Jurgen Klinsmann's considerations and why he is not joining Seattle immediately unless he's going overseas.
Yeah. Robert from L.A., what's up?
Hey, guys. How's it going tonight?
Good. It's good.
Hey, guys. Did you guys are talking about the U.S.-Mexico game? I want to ask you a question about the goalkeeper situation. I don't see what everyone sees in Nick Rimando. I know he's a great keeper and all, but I think if we're going to experiment, if Clemson's experimenting, why doesn't he give like Hamid or Johnson or Yarbrough like a full game?
Why doesn't he do that?
Okay, for one thing, have you read Tim Howard's comments lately? He sounds like he may be done altogether in the very near future. So if Brad Guzan, that means you're one keeper deep in terms of starters right now. If Brad Guzan is the hands-down starter, and I think we can all agree with that, and Tim Howard all of a sudden decides he doesn't want to play anymore, you need Nick Rimando more than you think because you're one injury away from having to start Bill Hamid, Yarbrough, or Johnson.
Obviously, Bill Hamid is an incredibly talented goalkeeper. He's a super athletic guy. I think that his future is so. I mean, I don't know that there's anything. You can't really say anything negative about him. He had that spill last week that led to a goal. He does that so rarely now. I mean, you remember what it used to be? Bill Hamid, Sean Johnson. Bill Hamid, Sean Johnson. Yep. Sean Johnson is so far behind Bill Hamid now because he's inconsistent, because he makes those mistakes. I think that, look, if Klinsmann said my number 2 is Bill Hamid, that wouldn't bother me in the slightest. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Now,
if you were going to start a guy for World Cup qualifier tomorrow, which would you rather do, Rimando or Hamid?
Where is it?
Hamid.
Where's the game, Jared?
Doesn't matter. It's a World Cup qualifier.
Kind of does. And here's my only logic on this. Nick Rimando's experience is so vast. And obviously, Guzan has worked his way into being a top starter in England. And obviously Tim Howard is, Tim Howard. Part of the reason that you go with those guys, and when this whole thing about Howard and Guzan came up last year, why I was against the switch, is because familiarity and experience and direction are almost as important as whether or not you're going to come out and punch at 8 yards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that we miss that element of it. We go, well, look, he can make the diving save, and he's decent with the ball at his feet. His distribution is okay. That stuff's fairly obvious. What's not obvious is whether or not the guy behind Omar Gonzalez, Ventura Alvarado, Matt Beasler, Michael Roscoe, whoever's in there, is the guy in charge and has them doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Let me ask the caller a question. What's your concern with Nick Rimando?
My concern is I don't see him as a long-term solution.
He's not. Of course he's not.
Like a full cycle wise.
No, of course he's not.
So should we be mad at Jurgen Klinsmann the way we're calling out the Brad Evans call up? And like should people be mad about Nick Rimando getting called up if we're mad about Brad Evans getting called up?
Well, it's just my take is I think at some point you have to move on, and I mean this is the year where you should be experimenting, because if Rimando's not the long term solution, and you throw in Hamid or Yarbrough or Guzan, or even not Guzan, but let's just say Johnson, straight into the deep end. They may struggle.
You know, you do have a U23 team and an Olympic qualification and possible Olympic tournament coming up next year. You do have, you have other things going on. And in fact, I would be more concerned. I am more concerned about the keepers behind the younger keepers, the younger level keepers. Where are those? Cody Cropper really the guy? Like, is he really the guy? Are you sold on Cody Cropper? I mean, is there a guy in MLS who's under the age of 25 that you're really like, wow, that's a player that we should keep an eye on? I don't know that we are.
One of Phillies is not playing. I don't know.
Well, Andre Blank still hasn't touched on the field. What's up, Robert? Go ahead.
Actually, yeah. Can I have one more question I can ask you guys?
Yeah, what's up?
Shoot.
All right. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I don't know if you saw it, Jared. There was a CBS Los Angeles made a tweet saying that there's soccer on two over-the-air channels, and then I don't know if you saw this tweet, but they were saying like, what the hell is going on with this country? Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, we actually just mentioned it. I don't think we want to spend a whole lot of time on it. Clearly, somebody who had access to the CBS LA account tweeted that when they meant it from their personal account or whatever.
And if that's the case, and listen, all I would say is that listen, you need to find a social media manager that's more careful than that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think, and then later in the evening, just so you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but they did tweet out later about Omar Gonzalez's last second goal and how exciting it was.
Trolling us.
Trying to make
All right, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, and also Jerry, thanks for responding to my tweet, death or boobs earlier today.
Oh yeah, right on, baby. I took death this week. Took death.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Robert. Appreciate it. Goes Robert in LA. 347-756-6276 is the phone number. I think when that stuff happens, well, first of all, you know that CBS LA, which is, second biggest market in the country, they should have somebody. They should have a social media manager, but they pass it off to an intern. They did.
I hope a company that large is not passing it off to an intern.
These people, especially at the local level, are flat out stupid. They go,
I'll give you this. On a Saturday afternoon, there might be an intern doing it, but I don't think during the week that's being done by an intern.
Maybe. I just feel like it's one of those things that the older, crustier management team doesn't understand. So they go, give it to the intern. We got the kid from UCLA, give it to him. And then
they may understand it once something like this happens.
And I always feel like this says more. Like, I don't understand that logic. Not just because I'm a soccer fan, but just because it's a dumb thing to say. What's wrong with our country because there's a sport on television? I don't.
Well, here's what's weird to me. Who the hell follows CBS Los Angeles that even sees this in the first place?
Wait, hold on. How else are you're breaking car chase tweets?
Okay, I'll give you that. That I do follow one. Basically, as an Angelino, I know there's only two networks that will ever show a car chase because they're just the off-brand networks. They're not the main ABC, CBS, NBC ones, or even Fox. Those are the two I follow because those are the ones that need the seedy side that they'll show the chases.
They're the ones from Nightcrawler. They're taking that stuff. Have you seen that movie?
From Nightcrawler?
Yeah, that movie with.
Oh, is that the one with the guy from Brokeback Mountain?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's excellent movie. Daniel in Atlanta's on the line. What's up?
That's Jake Gyllenhaal. He's the next
there you go.
U.S. American star.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. That's exactly right. Freaking weird in that movie and does an excellent job of it. What's up, Daniel?
I was going to say that I love your Jaffe's Artist post that you got.
What, this thing right here that you can see on the video? That's actually
put out by the guys at Howler for LA Galaxy. That's Brendan Handon and his crew.
Yeah, the Galaxy teamed up with Howler and did a little mini mag thing. It was really cool. Very good stuff. In fact, if any teams out there are listening right now, send me stuff because I need decorations. I got a blank wall over here.
So basically, you're saying those shelves are for hire.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Yeah,
that Beckham book is only as you're only dedicated to that as it is the money attached.
Well, I mean, I was given that.
I would say fans should be able to spend $50 for a week and to put whatever they want behind you on that shelf.
That's not a bad idea. You think mannequin is the way to go?
Like the movie Mannequin?
No, like a mannequin somewhere in this room.
That'd be creepy. Why would you want that?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways to spice up the space here.
I'm just saying you lease out those spots.
Yeah. All right, Daniel, what else is on your mind?
Jason doesn't want to feel lonely in the studio. That's why.
That's absolutely true, man. Hell yeah, I am. I'm all by my lonesome here. I can't open the door and yell and have my kids run into the room and give daddy a hug. Like that doesn't happen for me. That Jared's got that working.
No, that's daddy yelling at the kids, telling them to be quiet.
Jared's house has got squeaky floors too, so there's an issue there.
I do.
I want to go back to the caller who said that why is Nick Raimondo getting a look at? Has he seen MLS?
I guess I don't know. No, he said why is Nick Raimondo getting a look?
I mean, why not? You know, he's what, one of the top in our pool, and nobody behind him is going to take him over other than Brad Guzan, who
I think it's an issue of being 35 years old.
Of course, and we know. Look, we know a goalkeeper can be on top of his game all the way up till probably about 40 before it's really over. Tim Howard is, as you said, giving all of these signs that he's just done, and it may come to an end sooner rather than later. We've got Brad Guzan. I think we all feel comfortable with Brad Guzan. Then it's a question. Is it Bill Hamid? Is there somebody else out there? Is Tyler Derrick going to be international? Is Clint Irwin going to be an international? Is Josh Saunders going to be an international?
He cannot be an international for the U.S.
That's right. He's a Puerto Rican. I forgot. Well, not like an adopted Puerto Rican, a naturalized Puerto Rican.
Well, isn't Puerto Rico just kind of adopted as well?
Yeah, it is. It's part of the U.S. I don't know. Daniel, you got anything else, man?
No, not much. I like the new format, and even though I didn't watch the LA game last night, I just, good on the boys, and our boys, our baby boys are winning, I think.
Yeah, is the Galaxy 2 doing well, Jared? Do you know?
No, they haven't won a game yet this season.
They haven't?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, so they're not doing well.
I think he's saying they're doing well right now. By the way, in terms of Puerto Rico and Guam, we should be able to call up AJ De La Garza or Josh Saunders should we see fit, right? They should be those are like our development teams.
Well, like you feel like Guam and Puerto Rico, and no offense to all the very proud Puerto Rican people out there, especially the ones who want want independence. I get it. I understand. I'm kind of with you. Like, go.
Yeah, definitely. American Samoa, sign us all up.
They are wholly owned properties. That's not the right word. What's
no, I was saying, if anything, I mean, listen, let's make them like real states, and then we get AJ De La Garza back.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I know Puerto Rico's a FIFA member. Is Guam a FIFA member? I guess they probably are, right?
They must be. He's playing for him.
Okay. Ray from Milwaukee's on the line. What's up, Ray?
Yep. Oh, well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the U.S.-Mexico game.
Shoot.
And I think that, I've seen a lot of these games in years past, and this is the first time I've really ever felt that money was the over-driving issue.
You haven't been paying attention, Ray.
That's the first time?
Attention, if that's what you think. If that's the first
Ray,
time.
Why would we ever play in Texas if it's not a money thing?
Okay, here's I'm just going to use this as an example. And Ray, I get what you're saying, but maybe it's because what you're saying is that there wasn't the fire in it, there wasn't the heat, there wasn't the passion. You remember that? I think it was 2007. Remember the U.S. beat Mexico in Phoenix, sold out crowd, mostly Mexico.
Jimmy Conrad scores, Landon Donovan scores. I was at that game.
Puts the icing on it on a breakaway, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And remember, it was
and Osvaldo Sanchez tried to take him out.
Yeah, try to take
Eddie Johnson.
Eddie Johnson, yeah. After Landon Donovan scores, Eddie Johnson's following up. He tries to take out Eddie Johnson.
That's the heat we're missing.
That's what, yeah, exactly. That's what we're missing. And somebody called Soccer Morning, Jared. I don't think they listened. I don't think they heard you say this, but maybe it was you, right? Somebody who said Alan Gordon should be playing in this game.
You tweeted me. Paul Dalglish said that on Twitter, and after I said it.
Yeah, that's right. Paul Dalglish, who's coaching down in Austin. Son of Kenny, obviously.
Oh, totally right. That matchup needs Alan Gordon, not from anything having to do with playing soccer, from everything that does not have to do with playing soccer. From the standpoint of a Mexican needs an elbow in the eye. That's why you need Alan Gordon in there.
Or the other way around. Like I would have been. I don't want anybody hurt, and obviously you did have Kyle Beckerman come up lame, but I would have been okay if a Mexican got a little chippy and I guess it kind of happened a little bit.
But they're just. I hate it that Mexico these days just aren't dicks.
And all I'm trying to say is this rivalry deserves to be on the world stage with England and Germany and Argentina and Brazil. And it needs to be treated like that. And I think that's why we should no longer have games on non-FIFA dates like this anymore.
No, I'm kind of with you on that. And I actually wrote, thanks for the call, Ray. I wrote that they were doing a disservice to the rivalry by playing this game, Jared. And while even though that's true, I don't know that that's the overriding concern because look, you need to make
you also got to planes need fuel and players need food.
Right, and I don't even just mean at the senior level. Like, you obviously, U.S. Soccer can take that money, put it in their coffers, and then, oh, look, we're going to fund the U15 women's team, and we're going to fund this program. We're going to teach these coaches. We're going to
actually, honestly, to some respect, those programs have been fueled by this in the past. I mean, you're totally right. That if you want that type of level of commitment to the youth national teams, like you said, development. And that's one of the things that Mexico's actually said they envy about the U.S. in years past, like over the last decade, is about how much money we put into the structure and the discipline behind it, where there's a sense in Mexico that they don't know where the money goes. Like in the U.S., you can see where the money's going. Right. You know, it's really going to infrastructure, and that's why the gap is closing all the time. So I get it, too. I feel you on that, Jason. It feels dirty every time these games happen, and there's not a real reason for it, but I feel like the same way about taxes. I don't like paying them, but I don't like potholes on my road.
No, absolutely. I get what you're saying, and it is a difficult sort of back and forth for U.S. Soccer and the Mexicans as well. How much do we sort of give ourselves over to just getting a big check and in the interest of building our sport in our respective countries, while at the same time perhaps we're again doing a disservice or hurting this rivalry that has been built up so much. All right, we've got about 20 minutes left. Probably about time to turn to MLS, right? Like that. There's a league here. Be taking stock of some of this. Daniel in Atlanta touched on the LA game. I'll start there, Jared, because that's your boys. 2-1 winners over Sporting Kansas City at home. There's no such thing as a must-win game in April in MLS, and yet for the Galaxy, you were sort of teetering on the edge of like, okay, we need a confidence boost here. We need to really show that we're still the champs.
Yeah, but did this game really do that? I mean, they need a last-second goal on the deflection to win it. But like all things being considered, they're still in third place in the West without Gerard. Robbie Keane's missed the last 3 games. You're starting the game without Giassi Darras, without Omar Gonzalez. This is a good result. It's just like when you think about LA and the expectation is usually around LA, it's not a good result. But if you really look at the situation they're in right at this moment, that's a good 3 points.
You said it before. It's obviously a huge 3 points. It almost doesn't matter how you played as long as you get the points. And you said it before. They just need to hover around a 1.5, 0.33 to be
right now they're at 0.57.
Right, when Gerard gets here and blah blah blah. I almost feel like, I said it was treading water, but it's more than that. It's arena for now until Gerard gets here, until this team is more settled, until Keane is all the way back to being himself. It's almost like water wings. Like he's put water wings. I'm hanging out.
Well, and I'll say this, and this will transition us maybe to New York Red Bulls, which is definitely one of the stories we need to talk about. I'm always leery of the teams that do well early anyway in MLS. It's the teams that do well down the stretch that tend to get the big attention, get the supporter shields, and get the MLS Cups. So I'm okay with LA struggling because you know what? They've struggled almost every year. Not struggled like mightily, but just not been the lead. They rarely lead from wire to wire. They lead the last halfway to the end, and that's usually where they do well. Seattle, same way. A lot of the best teams in this league realize that there's a big, long marathon in front of them, which is why I get nervous to go really crazy for the New York Red Bulls right now, even though they deserve a hell of a lot of praise.
Yeah, look, I think that you have to give them praise. And I find the early season sort of fascinating, and only because the title, the crown of best team in MLS passes around so fast and so often that it's hard to keep track. But I like that because I like the fact that these teams are figuring themselves out. Now, would it be great to hit the ground running from week 1? Holy crap, this is great soccer. Yeah, of course it would. It's just not going to happen. And you have that, and this is why what you're saying definitely holds true. You have that summer window when everything can change, when a bunch of weird stuff can happen, when signings come in. We already know Gerard and Lampard are coming. When new guys will pop up that we didn't know.
The ICC comes to town.
Well, I don't give a flying whatever.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing is certain MLS teams have to care about it because it's going to be a distraction.
I know. And you have the Gold Cup this year that's going to take some players out of their teams for national team duty. A lot. I mean, let's remember this. Let's not forget how impactful the Gold Cup call-ups are going to be on MLS. I don't know what the schedule is. I haven't looked. I am sure there's maybe a week or two break in there somewhere.
But if you think about it, New York Red Bulls are in good position for that. Sasha Kljestan is the only one person that might get called up by a national team. Roy Miller, I want to say Roy Miller may be called up.
And I sort of, like this is not a good thing for MLS to have these internationals go away and have these teams have to make do with questionable depth and everything else. And it's certainly an argument for raising the salary cap, but it's also an argument, and it brings up this whole notion of when you put together your team, how many internationals do you really want? How many guys playing in CONCACAF do you really want? I mean, look, you could get a former international who you know is not getting called up. You could get you could go sign a guy from an African nation, and they're typically going to only play in the FIFA windows. You could sign Brazilians who are never going to get a call because they have incredible talent, and that's it.
Yeah.
But if you sign guys, not like Roy Miller, but if you sign guys that are Saborio, Beckerman, obviously Luis Gil's a U.S. Youth International. There's other guys in this. There's a lot of guys in this league who are the backbone of this league, who are CONCACAF players, and this tournament's going to have a big impact on that. I mean, okay, so you mentioned the Red Bulls. Sacha Kljestan might get called in. We know Roy Miller gets called up by Costa Rica all the time for some reason. But right now, they look like the best team in MLS, and they did it again.
So are you in the hater camp where you're saying, Jesse Marsch is doing well with a team that was already good, it was already pretty good?
No, because I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's
I'm in a different camp, Jason. I'm in the camp where and now this is going to sound like hate on New York Red Bulls, so please just give us a couple months to see this really shakes out. I think they're in the camp very kind of similar to the Montreal a year ago, where no one expected the New York Red Bulls to come out of the gate like this, and everyone was wondering what's this team going to be, so no one was really prepared for New York.
Yeah,
and I think they're surprising people right now in the areas that they're finding success. I think eventually teams are going to adjust. They'll be able to review the game tape, see what New York's doing, and adjust to this. I think early on, though, no one was really game planning because no one really knew what this was going to look like.
Okay.
Duh and or hello.
At the same time, talent. They've got talent. I mean, let's not act like this is.
We can't talk out both sides of our mouth. 3 weeks ago, you guys are sitting here saying, "Where's the talent here?" Now we're saying 3 weeks later they got talent
for the Red Bulls.
Yeah,
I never said that for the Red Bulls. No, there's no way I ever said that for the Red Bulls.
We were believing in Felipe Martins. We were believing in Sacha Kljestan. We were believing in Bradley Wright Phillips without Thierry Henry. Come on.
No, but like I said, the talent. Whether or not the mix works, whether or not the team is effective together, is a different question than whether or not they have talent in the team. You could have a bunch of talented players, throw them into a pot, stir it up, and have the crappiest tasting soup you've ever had in your life. But if you have a coach who knows what he's doing, you certainly have a program, a system that
By the way, that soup is called Timbers stew.
Oh, was Caleb Porter's special. No soup for you. Look, McCarty, Felipe, as you mentioned, is a talented player who just, for whatever reason in Montreal, it kind of went south, and Marsch knows him. Lloyd Sam damn Lloyd Sam.
Yeah.
That's a question. I don't know. I mean, Mike Grella is surprising me. I'll give you that.
Mike Grella surprised me. I'm more surprised by anything else their defense. I'm surprised their defense has been able to hold up, and that's the biggest part of it. And
that was the question, right? So against San Jose, they started Miazga and Paranel in the middle, Lawrence, who I don't know much about, and Duval on the right. And so, yeah, I mean, there are some, you didn't quite know what to make of that mix, but they're doing it. They're getting it done. And full credit to Jesse Marsch, because again, I don't think it's as simple as walking in the front door and going, yeah, it's a pretty good team last year, I'm just going to make it a pretty good team this year. Like, no, you can't.
Well, let's do this then. Top 3 teams in the East right now, all tied for points. Here's a pick your poison for you regarding those 3 teams out of the East.
All right.
New York Red Bulls, DC United, New England Revolution, all on 11 points. Different games played.
Yeah.
Which one do you not believe in? Or is that right?
I think that's probably right. I mean, DC still confounds me because I still don't understand how they get this done. Like, I just don't. You're talking about the talent on the field. I know they have a couple of guys. They obviously have above average MLS players. Chris Rolfe is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Nick DeLeon, Pontius on his day, although I'm not quite sure where he is.
I'll say Perry Kitchen's in that mix.
Perry Kitchen is definitely above MLS average. Even Bobby Boswell at this point in his career is probably one of the top, 20, 25 central defenders in the league.
But I say even better than that, probably.
Okay, but I still don't get how they do it. I still don't understand how they do it. I really
they do it ugly, dude. They do it ugly.
Oh, I know, and then maybe that's why I don't want to give them the credit that they probably deserve.
But they're also doing it with a like $400,000 hole in their pocket.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
Eddie Johnson.
But they had that hole last year when he wasn't playing, when he was kind of out of the team. He got hurt.
Doesn't make it not impressive, though.
Oh, I know. Okay, so like if you look at their team on paper, I'm looking at the team that they started against Houston. Now it took a great free kick for them to get a point out of that game. It's actually a better
free kick. Yeah,
it's a better result for Houston than it is for DC because of that game being at home. But Franklin, Boswell, Opare, and Kemp. Opare,
love me some Opare, you know.
Yeah, he's key here, obviously, because of the injury to Birnbaum. Michael Farfan, I had no idea what to expect out of him. Davey Arnaud, who
he's peanut butter in every sandwich. The jelly gets all the credit. The peanut butter holds it on the sandwich, though.
I know he is. But it just feels as though I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it.
And a peanut butter jelly sandwich, you can put 8 different kinds of jelly, and it's still a sandwich. But the peanut butter is always the same.
I know. Perry Kitchen, obviously, very good young player. Chris Rolfe, Arietta, who I always thought was a kind of a joke. Not
his talent's no joke though.
No, it's not. He just never put it together. And then obviously Chris Pontius, and then you gotta, you look at their bench: Travis Wara, Chris Korb, Jarrett Jeffrey, Nick DeLeon on the bench. Okay, that's good. Connor Doyle, Luis Silva, I like
that's legit.
Him, and Miguel Aguilar. I mean, it's not. I'm not going to say they're doing it with smoke and mirrors because they finished first in the East last year. You can't possibly put that on them, and yet it feels like maybe there's a little bit of a smoke bomb every now and then, just a little bit to hide what they're like. You don't.
Yeah,
play.
but you can do the same thing with Houston. Look, you got Joe Willis, which DC knows well, David Horst, Chandler Hoffman, Alex, Miranda, Lovejoy, and Bruin. Bruin's legit. Just kind of like you could say about maybe Nick DeLeon or something like that.
You say Bruin's legit, but Bruin's a guy who will bang in 5 goals in like 6 games.
And then you don't hear from him for 3 months.
Misses everything for 3 months. Can't hit the side of a barn for 3 months. I mean, we're talking about the yips like you would not believe. So yeah, that's part of it. There, I'm interested in Houston. I still don't have a grasp on what Owen Coyle is going to be all about. They have some talent there. What else do we need to talk about here? I mean, certainly a bunch of results that deserve our attention on some level.
I think Columbus definitely deserves something to talk about. I think a bit of that game, obviously, the red card to Ramos, deserved red card. Kai lost his head, didn't get the call he wanted, just goes in feet first on a guy. Total red card. That really kind of throws the shape of the game off. It was already 1-0 at that point. But once Columbus starts finding its rhythm, I think you maybe watch out. Now, okay, Higuain's got a goal in the season. Okay, Justin Miriam is getting back into form now. I think if those pieces come together, Columbus was my pick out of the East this year to start the season. I still think they could be the team that tops it by the end.
Look, again, it's mid-April. So you've got 6-7 games under your belt. You got a long way to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint, et cetera, cliche. As you said, they've got something there. We all saw it last season. That's why so many people picked them to come out of the East if they get rolling. And on the other side of this, Orlando's been pretty impressive. They're a fun team to watch. They can be a little bit all over the place. We don't know exactly what they're going to get out of their forwards still, even though you get a goal from Kyle Larin last week, and it's like, oh my gosh, here it is. They still have a lot to prove there.
But what I love about that game, though, Ramos gets the red card. Before he gets the red card, he's so hot and he's walking away. Who's there? Kaká's got his arm around his shoulders, telling the young kid, hey, get your S together. That's what I want. That's why, Kaká's such a good signing for this league, for that kind of stuff.
I'm not really down with the whole Pentecostal super religious thing, which is cool. He can do it. I mean, obviously it's his life, it's whatever. I'm not really down with it. But beyond that, it's really tough not to have a man crush on Kaká. Like, it's really...
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you figure that he brings what you want on the ball and then combines it with being a leader like that off the ball, such a... Yeah.
Always happy. He's always happy. Like, it's like, I am joyful to be playing soccer. And it's like, yeah, hell yeah, that's how I should feel every day. I don't, but it's how I should feel every day. Just like Kaká. I don't have millions of dollars in the bank and a beautiful
wife. Talk about soccer every day. You should be happy.
I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled that I get to talk about soccer every day. All right, so Columbus thumps Orlando 3-0. Obviously, a big result for the Crew, for Crew SC against the Lions. Dallas to Toronto. Okay, we have to do Dallas Toronto.
Yeah.
Mostly because you have a goal in the first 30 seconds. from.
That's the Castillo from last year, right there, man.
I want him to take the league by the balls and just make it his.
It just you see that talent, and he's everything you wish Darren Maddox could have been. You know, you just hope to find a way for him to be that guy. Can Dallas find a way to let him run unbridled? He's that horse that can't be tamed. You know, in movies they say that horse, that one over there, no one could tame him. Like, just let that horse run. Open up the doors and just see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So he scores twice. They get a goal from Blas Perez. They're up 3-0 inside of half an hour on Toronto, who looks like somebody stole their ice cream cone. Like, it just, whatever's going.
And it was the same play a couple times. It was just that nice clinical, like just splitting the defense pass. And to this day, I think maybe I said it before. How does a team with Robin Fraser and Greg Vanney running it have a defense that gets beaten like that so often?
They also had a miscommunication that led to Perez's goal. It was just ugliness. Then you have the lights go out. The lights shut down in Frisco. They had a lightning storm, so that was obviously a major reason for it.
When it happens in the Galaxy, it's a big joke. It happens in Dallas, all of a sudden it's a lightning storm. No one actually accidentally turned off the lights on purpose or anything.
I think we are all in agreement that those lights were turned off on purpose because Houston was getting into that game and starting to control things. I think that's true.
The act of God. God just happens to be a Galaxy fan.
And I would love to do a show with like the best MLS conspiracy theories. I want them all. I want to hear them.
Didn't you do that one time on Soccer Morning?
I had I've pitched this idea for a show that was like a joke show. I never was actually going to do it. And I even started a Twitter account. It was called Post to Post instead of Coast to Coast. And I was going to have it be all about conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And it just wasn't thick. There wasn't enough there, but we need more. We need more of that. Absolutely.
I think the Fabian Castillo was made in a lab.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But you had the lights go out. Well, how long was it? 3.5 hours?
3 hours. And to credit, some fans stayed.
That's commitment. Then they come back, and Toronto's down 3-0 into like the 83rd, 84th. It's getting late. And then all of a sudden, it's the Jovinko show. And boom, boom, Toronto's back in it. Now, they come up short.
He could have had 4. He could have had 4 in that last part.
He is ridiculous. He is absolutely ridiculous. They need to find a way to win games so that people will recognize how good Jovinko is.
I mean, his finishes look like they were just second thoughts. He chips over the keeper and from an extreme angle just as he thought, oh, that might be something fun to try to do. He takes a free kick on a half step because he just knows the keeper's not ready. It was kind of back in the day. Remember that Giggs goal from a few years ago that changed the way referees now have to say, hey, wait for the whistle? It was kind of like that. But the keeper was actually expecting it, and he still could do nothing about it. A half step. I mean, it's an amazing hit.
There was a lot of great goals in MLS this weekend. A lot. You said Higuain, Kai Kamara. I mean, Miram's, all 3 of those goals for Columbus. You obviously had Dylan Cerna scored a great goal. That was last week, sorry. But I mean, we're catching up here on goals. I feel like I have to do that for everybody. I can't just pick Obafemi Martins. We haven't gotten to that Seattle game.
The turn. He's had 2 in 2 weeks like that?
He is, his ability to do that close control and turn is probably top in the league. Very, very dirty stuff from him. So let's mention that Seattle goes to Colorado, gets a 3-1 win. That's a good win for them. That's an important win for them. Yeah, Colorado hadn't been playing great soccer. They were playing good defensive soccer. They had kept everybody. They lost to New England 2-0, but they had kept 3 clean sheets. They destroyed Dallas last week 4-0. So for Seattle to walk in to Mile High or to Denver and Commerce City and get that win is good stuff for Seattle. Did you have
getting Dempsey on the starting position? That's good for them as well.
Yeah, that's true. Did you have an issue with him starting in that game after not playing Wednesday or not being in the U.S. squad?
Dempsey?
Yeah, I don't.
No, I mean it's not the first time we've seen games like that played. And really, what does he need to be? If we're gonna fill the first half of our show talking about how it's a meaningless game, can we be mad Dempsey's not there?
No. I wouldn't want him on that surface anyway.
Absolutely not. I mean, just look at Kyle Beckerman for more. And by the way, I haven't seen a prognosis on Kyle Beckerman. Has one come out? Have you seen that?
No, I have not seen that. I'll have to catch up on that. Darren Maddox scored for Vancouver late in that match against RSL. That was RSL holding on for dear life because Salcedo deserved that red card. Absolutely ridiculous.
The bad red card there, and then not shortly thereafter, towards the end of the game, Olave gets another deserved second yellow for 2 red cards, so they're going to be out without both of those players come next week. And I've said it before, and I apologize. I'm going to say it again. Congratulations, Brian Dunseth, home announcer, saying both those credit cards are right on the live broadcast too. It bears repeating because it doesn't get said enough how bad home play-by-play and color guys are. They have the worst tinted glasses ever. Dunseth says both of those calls, yeah, that's a red. Yeah, that's a red. People don't want to hear it, but they need to hear it. Those are legit red cards.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. RSL falls to Vancouver. Vancouver looking pretty good. I mean, again, early going, all of those things, but looking pretty good up in the Pacific Northwest for the Vancouver Whitecaps. You had the 2 games today. Philadelphia losing to New England at home. I thought for a while Philly looked pretty good. They're in control of that game. They probably should have put away a couple more chances. And no, hey, there you go. New England gets theirs. Charlie Davies with a goal, saying happy birthday to his wife with his shirt celebration.
Man, I don't have nearly something as cool to say to do something like that for my wife. I have nothing. What can I do that's cool like that?
On this show, you could like celebrate and lift your shirt and like.
She doesn't even listen to this show. Like she's gonna care.
Well, but you're saying it for everybody else, like letting the people know that.
What do you think about Jermaine Jones starting as a center back for New England? Is that a long-term decision? Is that in line with the U.S. national team? Is that just saying that Caldwell and Dorman have been doing so well that you want to find a way to keep them on the field?
Well, he is coming back from an injury, right? I mean, he is coming back into the team, and if you have some sort of thing working, then maybe that's the way to go. I mean, I don't know. What else would you do? What would be the usual situation for New England?
I think they would bring Caldwell to the bench and put Jermaine Jones in the middle, and then you start. I think you bring in Chris Tierney, you push Woodbury into the middle.
That's the way that it would go normally.
I think that's the way it goes. I know Woodbury does play center back from time to time. I don't know. We talked about benches earlier. On the bench today for New England, Chris Tierney, Teal Bunbury, Diego Fagundes. I mean, those are 3 guys that would start for most of the teams in MLS. And it bears the question. I think Taylor Twin may have asked this on the broadcast today. At some point, who are you going to sell and get something for? Like at some point, you got to look at this as you have value on the bench that's not being used. And I don't know how they get all these guys on. Can you keep Teal Bunbury on the bench when he's giving you that kind of production like he did today and down the stretch last season?
No, absolutely not. No. And Bunbury not only set up Charlie Davies, scored the winning, what turned out to be the winning goal. So, I mean, he's obviously a talented player. Fagundes was the guy that Twumlin was focusing on. And the reason that you talk about Fagundes is because he's young enough that his value is going to be higher than most.
And homegrown, so you get more of the percentage when you sell him.
That's
and Chris Tierney, you got a guy with a left foot just behind probably Brad Davis, Michel. I mean, there's only Higuain. There's only a couple of guys that got a sweeter left foot than Chris Tierney in this league, and he's going to be on your bench. I mean, this is a starter last season, so I think Jay Heaps and Mike Burns have some interesting decisions they got to make over the course of the season. But that being said, they also have plenty of depth for CCL when it comes now.
Yep. Last game, I think, is the last game for us to touch on. And by the way, I did mention this. No games that we have to avoid because everybody scored a goal. That's really good stuff. Keep that up because I don't want to have to avoid anybody. New York City FC losing to Portland at Yankee Stadium. Big road win for the Timbers. I mean, whether or not they look good, I think is kind of beyond the point anymore. Just go get some points. And yeah, NYCFC comes off a Thursday match. They have to play today. They obviously they didn't have David Villa. They didn't have Mix Diskerud. They had they had some hangover from the national team in that regard. So maybe you throw that out a little bit, but they are at home.
So NYCFC right now is losing the battle of the expansion side teams, right?
If you want to put them head to head, it's a little. I mean, they're battling to get points.
Why not? You kind of have to.
Okay, all right, fine. They're losing the battle to Orlando right now.
And man, I try to think about Jason Kreis's team today. I finally started to see a little bit of the Jason Kreis ball in the first half that I'm used to seeing RSL. And I think almost when you have like Mix Diskerud and you have David Villa off the field, he's forced to play the way he's always played in the past. Do more with less, get guys to raise their level just a little bit. I wonder when you have guys like David Villa, how does Jason Kreis deal with that personality and that need to feed a star player. He hasn't really had to do that in his career.
No, but I think they can. I think they can work within those confines. I mean, look again. I mean, the point about the lineup is absolutely necessary here because you look at this. This is not what they would trot out there. Mix was
Mehdi Belucci's starting, for God's sake.
Well, Mehdi Belucci had a friggin' incredible.
He had one goal. That's his one for the season. Okay, and doesn't mean that all of a sudden he's a great starter in this league.
Damn, dog, that's inappropriate.
Nobody said that, and we all know Mehdi Belucci. Mehdi Belucci is MLS fodder like Chad Barrett is MLS fodder like.
Yeah.
Give me another one here. Give me some.
Kenny Cooper.
Maybe Kenny Cooper's in that area, but
Nate Jakwa back in the day.
Okay, Nate Jakwa. Nathan Sturgis might be in that sort of.
I think I like Sturgis as a player. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, no, I'm not saying they're not good players on some level, but they bounce around everywhere. They never really stick. They never really. I mean, Sturgis had some great times in Colorado. It's fine. Cano Smith, that's a good one. Out of the league.
How about Stefani Migliorianzi?
Okay, but nobody can say his name. He can say his name, so he can't be that guy. No.
Yeah, Migliorianzi was better actually than that. Cano Smith is a pretty good shout, actually.
Yeah. So NYCFC loses to Portland. Whatever. Portland doesn't care who's on the field for NYCFC. They win the game. That's important. They'll go back and take those 3 points and move on. All right, we're running out of time. We're essentially over now. We don't have any time left. Is there anything else we need to touch on before we go?
Not off the top of my head, dude. I think we got it all covered.
I think that it's important.
You should tease something.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to listen to Soccer Morning tomorrow. Absolutely. Right off the top, beginning of the show, 10 o'clock Eastern, you should be listening to Soccer Morning tomorrow.
I'm going to say it this way. As someone that's likely been on a journey with Jason Davis and myself for quite some time and followed you as you've listened, you've done some amazing stuff that I wish I could have been on the path with you for, but our lives just went in different directions. You want to listen to tomorrow's Soccer Morning because for me, I'm stoked for something he's going to talk about.
Appreciate that. I appreciate it. And honestly, and this is, Trevor says it's getting real. It means he's getting uncomfortable. So what? I don't care. Come on. The one thing that I will say about this, and again, I can't really touch on exactly what it is yet, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock Eastern, is I really wish, and maybe there's still a chance of this, I really wish that this show could take that next step, if you know what I'm saying. Like there's some things happening out there in the world with a couple of guys doing some soccer talk. I feel like this show could have been that or could still be that, maybe with different accents. Maybe we could be the guys that don't
All I say is that I live vicariously through you and I'm very happy for things going your way.
All right, bro. Appreciate it, bro. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Thank you very much for listening and calling in to Best Soccer Show. It's been a blast. I'm glad we got the new studio set up. Again, that should mean no interruptions in your normal Sunday service. That sounds like church. I'm turn the show church. Should mean no interruptions in your normal Sunday stuff, and I think that's a good thing. Hit us up on Twitter at Best Soccer Show. Go to iTunes, ratings and reviews. That's help us out a lot. And we got T-shirts, and we actually just came up with a brand new idea for a T-shirt. I don't know if we can actually make it happen. Backheel.com/store. Some really cool T-shirts. We need to go through another round of stuff and get some design.
Oh, that one we said at the beginning of the show today. I thought you were talking about the one I threw out there on Friday. You guys need one that's like pancakes and panenkas for Soccer Morning.
Pancakes and panenkas. Those go together so well. With that, I just want to eat some pancakes and some panenkas. All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Only the best. Danger Zone. Oh, it's incredible.
I am Mikkel Mårsen på Sønderskue.
Eddie, what have you done for me lately? Michael fucking Alaska Pascal. Get to the chopper!
Damn, dog. You're not the ropes.
Get out of the field! Please come out the corner!
Goonies never say die!
Jay Rodius.